I have the pink long Knifty knitter loom here because I wanted to show you how to do the figure 8 wrap today. There's a few different wraps and stitches that you can only do on the long looms, and this is one of them. The reason that you can only do this on the long loom is because it goes back and forth across the loom as you wrap the pegs, and of course you cannot do that with a circular loom. Okay, I'm going to unravel that and start over so I can show you step by step. You skip this peg on the end, you wrap an E-wrap with the top of the E on the outside of the peg. The crisscross is always on the inside of the peg. And you do that making a figure 8 motion going down to the next peg, always with the top of the E on the outside, the crisscross on the inside. Then you move on to your next one, and as you do this, making a figure 8 as you wrap the loom, which is where it gets its name, of course. Okay. So I like to go ahead and kind of hold that yarn in place as I wrap, just in case you miss a peg so the whole thing does not unravel. I always hold the peg that I just wrapped. Now, when you reach the end, you're going to loop around this last peg one time. Again, we skip the one on the end. We don't do that peg. You loop around that one time, and you follow the path of the yarn just like it was on the peg before. So this goes back just exactly in the same pattern that it was wrapped previously, with everything crossing the same way. So the second wrap of the yarn looks identical to the first. This peg is simply looped around. Okay? Once you have wrapped twice, you're ready then to begin knitting off. Okay, you can see that I now have each of the pegs wrapped with 2 loops. This is what it looks like from the top. The yarn traces exactly the path of the yarn under it. I knit off by pulling the bottom loop up and over the top loop on each peg, and then release the bottom loop to the center. It always helps if you push the knit down toward the inside of the loom. Keep those from coming off the pegs. Okay, now we do the first side. If you remember, this last peg was only wrapped once. We're going to skip that. You turn, it'll get wrapped the next time. You turn and you do the other side of the loom. Now we wrap this using 1 yarn. You can wrap it using 2 or 3 yarns as one. It makes quick work of a blanket or a scarf to do that. So after you have knitted off all the pegs on both sides of the long loom, then we just go back and we wrap again, and we remember that as we wrap, we follow the path of our yarn exactly as it was wrapped the last time. So each time, we just loop once around that peg. Each time we follow the path of the previous yarn exactly as it was wrapped. When we reach the end, then it's time to knit off again. You do that by bringing the bottom loop up over the top loop. And you do that on both sides of the loom, and that is the 8 wrap.